back to my Kitten Reads. I'm Eleanor and this is my Dewey's 24-hour readathon vlog for April 2026. It's about 5 minutes to 10, which is 10 o'clock is the start time here in Canberra. So I'm about to start reading. I don't know how long I'll be reading tonight. Probably a few hours at least until I get tired. Who knows when that will be, because my insomnia has not been great the last few days. But I am kind of fuzzy brained because I had a massage for my bad hip earlier today. So fun. But the book I am probably going to start with is, I think, maybe Queen Victoria's Book of Spells, edited by Ellen Datlow and Terry Winling. I'm about a third of the way through it. It's short stories. It's a short story anthology. It seems like an easy way to get started with a bit of variety. And I'm not really sure what else I'm in the mood for this evening. Like I said, I'm feeling a bit vague. It might be a case of read some of this and maybe then pull out Pride and Prejudice for some rereading. Or maybe I'm thinking maybe my hockey romance novel that I'm reading. But yeah, we will see how it goes. I will either update you before I go to bed or I will see you in the morning. Bye. Hey, just a quick check-in before going to bed because it's just gone 1 in the morning. So I've done about 3 hours of reading. I've made a lot of progress on Queen Victoria's Book of Spells. I've read 7 short stories, skipped one because it's an author who I don't read due to a previous bad experience. But yeah, I read seven stories out of this, so I think I've got 3 or 4 left. Less than 100 pages. So about that. Oh yes, far less than 100 pages, so like 80 pages left. So I'll probably finish that off in the morning. I've also listened to about 15 minutes of Regina by Emily Murdoch Perkins, which is the audiobook that I'm currently listening to. I just needed to rest my eyes for a bit and have a bit of a break from reading, so I listened to 15 minutes of that audiobook. So for 3 hours, 7 short stories and a little bit of audiobook is not too bad. So yeah, I'm going to go to bed and hopefully fall asleep quickly. If the insomnia doesn't get me again. And I'm going to set an alarm for about 8 o'clock, just because it is quite late. I would like to sleep, but I also want to be up and ready at a reasonable time because at 10 a.m. it's my very first Penguins playoffs game, because trust me, I fell in love with both ice hockey and the Pittsburgh Penguins right as they were failing to make the finals for the first time in years. And they haven't made the finals since until now. So I will probably read through the game, but I'll have the game on and look up at, it occasionally kind of thing and that kind of thing. There will also be another Canberra Brave game on tomorrow evening, which I'll do the same thing for. There was one this afternoon which we lost in a shootout, so we still get a point. The boys are over in Perth. So yes, there will be hockey watching while reading tomorrow. But for now, it's time to go to bed. Hey folks, so it's nearly 9:45 in the morning, so nearly halfway through the readathon. I have not actually read anything but fan fiction yet this morning because unfortunately my insomnia kicked in, and much to my distress, I spent at least 3 hours trying to sleep and failing, because every time I would start to drift off, I would jerk awake. So it was not until after 4 in the morning that I actually managed to fall asleep, and then my alarm went off at 8, so I had less than 4 hours. My Fitbit is trying to tell me I've had over 5, but no, I haven't. I might have been at rest for some of that, but I was not asleep. So my energy levels are low. My enthusiasm is low, and I am about quarter of an hour from my first ever Pittsburgh Penguins playoff game. So my plan for the morning, I'm going to watch the Penguins, but I am also going to read while watching the Penguins because, you know, whatever. So at the moment, just because it's digestible and I've got like maybe 3 or whatever stories left, I'm going to continue on with Queen Victoria's Book of Spells and see how we go. Hey, so it's 7:30 in the evening and I've sort of forgotten to vlog most of the day. I'm gonna blame the fact that I'm super tired after a really bad night and then the hockey made me grumpy. Yeah, it didn't go my way, although I currently have, it's currently second intermission for Canberra Brave game and that's going a little bit better. So, but yeah, tired, not a lot of energy, so I haven't really vlogged. I have made progress though. So first thing this morning, I finished Queen Victoria's Book of Spells, which is a pretty decent anthology. Not a lot of stories truly grabbed me. That's like they were entertaining, they were interesting in some ways. I just didn't fall in love with any of them. That happens with anthology sometimes. And that's just the way short fiction goes. If it doesn't grab you immediately, you know, it's mildly entertaining. But, you know, so I finished that. Then I also finished one of my ebooks. I finished, hang on, let me remember, Square to the Puck by J.J. Mulder, which is the gay hockey romance that I was reading. So that was enjoyable, that was fun, and it was a pretty fast read. Then I decided to read audiobook for a while, and spent most of my afternoon reading via audiobook. Because I decided that I wanted to do some chores and to do some stitching and to do some gaming, but still wanted to keep reading. And so I am now 3/4 of the way through. My Regina, the Queens Who Could Have Been, by Emily Murdoch. I want to say Emily Murdoch Price, but I might get that wrong. So given that at the start of the weekend I was like 1/4 of the way through and I'm now 3/4 of the way through, that was really good. I actually sped it, I usually read it at normal speed. I sped it up to 1.2. I'm not sure if I've got about 2 hours to go. I'm not sure if I'm going to get through it all because I've stopped pretty much listening to it because I've got the hockey on and both run through my phone. So I can't do both at the same time. And once the hockey's finished, I'm not sure if there's going to be a full 2 hours left of the readathon, but we'll see. Because the other thing that I am reading while the hockey's on is A Curious Kind of Magic by Mara Rutherford. This is my Our Crate special copy. I was about 19% of the way through it, and I've just gone over half the way through. It's not too bad. I think my problem here is I'm struggling to connect to the main character, and it's in first person. So it's like the internal monologue of the main character, and I always struggle with those if I don't connect to the character. So I'll continue on, and then when the hockey game is over, I will assess which one I'm more likely to finish in whatever time I have left. So, or what I've got the energy for. So, because we've got about 2.5 hours left until the readathon finishes. So, yeah, I'm making a reasonable amount of progress. I finished 2 books and made good progress on 2 other books. So, given how tired I am, that's not too bad. Hey, so it's about 9:05, which means I've got about 55 minutes left until the readathon is over, and I have finished A Curious Kind of Magic. In the meantime, the Brave won in a shootout after complete collapsing in the third. They were 3-0 up and suddenly we're at a shootout. Yeah, stress. But yes, I have finished this. So for the last 50 minutes of the readathon, I'm just going to listen to some more of my audiobook. I'm not going to be able to finish it because I've got like a little under 2 hours to go and a little under an hour of the readathon left. But yeah, there's also no point in actually starting something new. So yeah, I'm just gonna listen to a bit more of my audiobook. Well, Dewey's 24-hour readathon is finished for April 2026. It's just hit 10 o'clock. And I have essentially finished 3 books and almost finished 1 more. All of these books were sort of between 20 and 30% roughly. That's where I was at with them when I started the readathon. So, you know, they were sort of a fifth to a third of the way through. And so, yeah, finishing 3, even with my lack of energy, pretty good, particularly because I'm at like nearly at the end of the other one. So, what did I read? I read Queen Victoria's Book of Spells, an anthology of Gaslamp fantasy, edited by Ellen Datlow and Terry Winling. So this was a whole bunch of short fiction that I mostly enjoyed. None of them jumped out at me. There was one that was very Frankenstein coded. There was one that was a few that were sort of horror coded. What else? I'm just trying to think. A few that were Queen Victoria stories. What else? A few that were sort of more hopeful magical stories. At least some that were set in art, where there was a Selkie story. So yeah, quite a few different sort of Gaslamp fantasy stories, all sort of set in that Victoriana setting. So yeah, that was an enjoyable read. And then I finished, and let me just make sure I'm Square to the Puck by J.J. Mulder, which is the second in her Offsides series of hockey romance novels. So in this particular one, we have the captain of the team that we saw in the first book, Corwin, who is just perennially alone. And then Nigel St. James is traded to the team on a 1-year contract. He's been around the league a fair bit, has previously said homophobic slurs, but there was an encounter when Colin was very, very young, sort of a rookie, which they need to talk about because they both have feelings about it. And there's a bunch of family issues and all that kind of stuff, but support from their teammates, which is nice, and having to make decisions about where they're going to go when it's only a 1-year contract. So that was enjoyable and sweet, and I quite enjoyed that. Then I finished A Curious Kind of Magic by Mara Rutherford. As I said earlier, struggled to connect with the main character, which was never a great thing for me in a first person, but as I got to the second half of the book, the plot started to kick in a bit, and the main character did start learning about themselves, which was helpful. It just took quite a bit for me to get there. But still a reasonably enjoyable fantasy novel about an orphan girl who is trying to make ends meet with her father's magical curiosity shop, and is about to go under and is in debt, and then meets someone who seems to be able to bring her magical curiosities to life. So, and then there's going to be a bit of an adventure. So, yeah, it was a reasonably fun book. But like I said, when it's first person, I mean, I struggle with first person at the best of times, but when it's first person and I don't really click with the character, I do struggle a bit. So, but yeah, definitely worth a read. And then the final book, which I'm now at 88%, is Regina. So hang on a minute, let me just double check. Regina, The Queens Who Could Have Been by Emily Murdoch Perkins. I only found out about this book this week because they interviewed her on an episode of the episode of the Rex Factor. And essentially she goes through history from, I think from Ethelfled, and looks at the eldest daughters of the English and British monarchs and what would have happened if primogeniture hadn't been men. So what if the eldest daughter had inherited? So it sort of looks at what information we know and sort of a potted history of each eldest daughter, and then extrapolates and thinks about what kind of monarch might they have been had they inherited instead of their brother. So it's based in history, but it's not fictional at all, but there's some speculation which is sort of, based on what we know about their behaviour and their opinions, depending on how much we know, can we extrapolate what kind of monarch they might have been had they been the queen. So some of them we have a lot of information and they had a lot of power in their lives, and so we know what kind of a monarch they might have been. Some of them died young, or there's just not much information available, but I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm 88% of the way through. So yeah, I'm glad I got through so much of it. And that was my Dewey's 24-hour readathon for April 2026. I'll talk to you all really soon. Bye.